See, folks, James Ward solving problems and creating a market for shortbread biscuits at the same time.
That's it. So Nana has the safest house in the world because she's got those biscuit tins.
Time to talk motor cars and the car industry with James Ward, Content Director with drive.com.au. He's with me now. Good morning to you. You've got a hoodie on.
Mate, I've got a hoodie. It's quite chilly here in Melbourne. I'm working from home today, so haven't got the warmth of an office heater, so I've had to find the hoodie. I don't know if it suits me, but there we go.
Do you know what the news is today out of Victoria? I don't know what's happening in Victoria with crime, but it seems to be out of hand. And they're now saying that they are going to stop fingerprinting and cross-checking fingerprints with car thefts because they haven't got the police staff to do the work. It's almost like a green light, go for it thing. What is the story with car theft in Victoria? I know we didn't rehearse this, but you might have an opinion on it. Because you're wearing a hoodie. If it was black, that's the car theft uniform.
I can be out there pinching cars. Well, the problem is that would be a bad hobby for me because I'm an adult. Whereas what's happening in Victoria is these kids, these little shitbag little kids are basically being paid money by organised crime to go and pinch cars. And so you've got an element where these kids are going out joyriding, pinching cars, for their mates or it's gang behaviour or whatever. But for the most part, there's a lot of it that is organised crime. And because the bloody Victorian justice system just goes, oh, don't be a bad little scallywag, we'll let you out. And these kids are on not bailed once or twice or 5 times. You've got some of these kids that are greater than 50 times bailed for car theft and home invasions. And it's insane. So I think the stat was Victoria has more car theft than everywhere else in Australia combined. So Victoria has 51% of Australia's car theft. It's insane. So our insurance premiums are going up. The police are, as you say, the police are run ragged, right? They're doing their job, but there's not enough police. And the Victorian government's kind of going, oh, well, we've got tough bail laws. No, you don't. Like the demonstration, and I guess it's one of those things where you've got the justice system like this, you've got laws, you've got your process and things. It's all well and good to have it on paper, but for us average Joes out here in the community, we do not see actions that align with these words. So any of these government muppets get on their little soapbox and say, oh, but we're the best at this. Words mean nothing. Show us action. And honestly, I don't think there'd be anyone from Victoria who would not be happy to see these little dirtbags getting locked up or, mate, can't steal a car if you don't have a hand, Like, why don't we go extreme here?
Oh, James, we're going to get messages now. James.
What are we doing? Yeah, you're just putting them back out on the street. There's absolutely no punishment, deterrent. So, yeah, Victorians are forced to have to go to pretty extreme measures. I think my brother had to put bollards into his driveway at home so that it's bananas, right? And so it is, this high-tech activity here where you've got the key spoofers, you've got the signal extenders, you've got people, people breaking into houses to steal the keys. We do laugh that the best way around it is to have a manual car to use a club lock because it basically takes them a bit longer. Even with tracking systems, you've got a lot of cars now fitted with tracking systems. People are doing third-party ones or putting even AirTags and whatever in the cars. What's happening is these vehicles are being taken to depots, so to speak, and where they go undercover and lose satellite reception. And we saw that story earlier in the year where Toyotas, so Land Cruisers, Prados, Hiluxes, were being stolen for order and basically put in boxes onto the boats and sent off to the Middle East, like straight out of gone in 60 seconds, right? And as soon as a car's in one of those containers, the
tracker doesn't work.
The trackers don't work.
Because I was going to ask, would it be reasonable to expect a cheaper insurance premium if you have a tracker on it?
No. And the insurance companies, right? Like they're obviously, they're
there to make money.
Commercial enterprises.
They're there to make money.
They're just whacking up the premiums because cars are getting stolen and so many of them aren't getting recovered. Some of them are being used in other crimes. So we've got obviously, because we're a multicultural crime place now. We welcome all kinds of crime in Melbourne. So it's not just car theft. There's standover, There's illegal alcohol. There's the illegal tobacco wars. Whatever crime you want, Victoria has a place for you.
Victoria's great. It's a buffet. It's a crime buffet.
It is a crime buffet. I love that.
All you can eat. Can I just say this? So the news story today, Victoria Police no longer routinely test for fingerprints or DNA at vehicle theft crime scenes, James, due to severe resource shortages, unless there is direct evidence to establish a specific forensic link. This is one of the reasons why the policy's changed. Obviously, I've just mentioned resource overload. Listen to this, and I'd love you to explain this. Changing methods. Criminals are increasingly using high-tech electronic key cloning and key reprogramming devices, often able to gain entry in under a minute without leaving traditional physical evidence. What's all that mean?
Again, this is one of those cause and effect things that nobody really considered. So Victoria has, and I think many other states, but I believe it is slightly more regulated. I might do a bit of a research on this and see if there's a story in it. In Victoria, there is a right to repair law. And basically what was happening is as cars were getting more modern, the repair capability was basically being ring-fenced to the manufacturer. So you couldn't have a Hyundai come to your garage at Luke's Motors, new Hyundai, come in because it needs a diagnostic computer in order to be able to do things. And Hyundai was saying, well, hang on, that's our proprietary technology. You got to come to a dealer to do that. And what the independent workshops were saying, well, hang on, we are now being shut out of modern cars because things have changed. You don't just tune a carburetor with a screwdriver anymore. You've got to plug a car into a computer. And so what the right to repair law is it basically opened up the access for some of these tools for independent workshops. So, this is the positive way of looking at it. But what it also did was opened up the access to these tools to pretty much anybody. And what you've got, so you think if you've got a Toyota and you lose your keys, you've got to get new keys. And so whether or not that car gets towed or whether it gets, someone comes to you, Toyota or any other brand, right? I'm just using one example here. They have devices that will allow them to reprogram a key for your car. That's how that works. So now, these are not cheap devices, by the way, but now you've got criminal enterprise getting their hands on these devices because there is no regulation as to who has access, and they are able to do what a Toyota or a Hyundai or a Ford or a Mazda dealer could do with these tools. Now, that's one part of it. The other one is the signal booster. So if you've got your keys, so when you walk up to your car and it unlocks with keyless entry, that key is always pinging a signal to your car. And it's just a short range thing. So it only works when you're close enough for it to do it. But what the other tools are is a signal booster. So you've got these things that basically intercept. They can pick up your keys sending a signal and then they relay it with higher strength to the car.
So your car might be out in the driveway, out in the garage.
Yeah, and your keys are
and
on
your
the
keys
hot
in
table.
and your keys in the fruit bowl on the dining room table. Sorry, some people's, not mine. I'm going to have to move them now. And that signal, I've stood at our front door because Nikki's always forgetting to lock her car, and so her side windows are open, and anyway, I can actually lock it from standing inside the house. So that's how far that signal travels. Is it the same for the ignition?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So some of these things, the ignition ones are quite clever in that even if you're at the boot of the car, I've done this plenty of times. I've had the keys in a bag or whatever. I put the bag in the boot. You go to get in, the car's like, "Nah, mate, your key's not close enough to the ignition." These signal boosters have the relays have a significantly strong signal, so the car thinks the key's in the car, and then they're able to take the car.
So what's that little pouch where Faraday?
What's a Faraday pouch? I've got one.
Faraday pouch.
Very well called because I have one right here. How's that? And I got this from a website called Earthing Oz, right? So it's a little pouch, but inside, and you probably can't really see that on the camera there. There's a metal foil on the inside of the pouch, and this is called a Faraday pouch, which we all learn about in year 10 physics, right? But here we go, it's there. And I tell you what, if you pause the podcast so you don't see me walking away in my shorts, I'll come back with another device that most Australians already have in their house, and I'll show you it's just a good thing. So 1 second, I'm back with a key protection device that I dare say most Australians will have in their house already. It's the Biscuit tin that Nana gives you with the shortbread, the Danish shortbread cookies, because if you put your keys in there, and no one ever has cookies in these, it's usually a sewing kit or something like that. But if you use a metal tin like that, it blocks your key. If you go home and you pop your keys in the biscuit tin or in the Faraday pouch, it can no longer send a signal out. So it can't be intercepted by the bad guys.
Okay, now I saw a thing on YouTube about the Faraday pouch, and I went down to Super Cheap Auto to get 2 Faraday pouches for me and Nick, and they only had the 2 in the same color, and we need different colors. YouTube said just wrap your keys up in alfoil. So I did it, and I walked up to my car, and it wouldn't open. So the alfoil worked.
Yeah, because the metal, basically what the Faraday pouch is just a metal shield that goes in. It's just a nicer thing. So the biscuit tin, a bit of foil, you can do that. And again, the biscuit tin, it sounds dumb, but it's actually a pretty good idea because we all have one. You put it on the kitchen bench, you pop your keys in there, and Bob's your uncle. So but that's just one technique that these guys are using. You've got carjackings and all sorts of the old-fashioned way of stealing a car by threatening a person. But this high-tech stuff, and we're seeing it with certain makes of cars, there are loopholes, well, there are weak spots in the cars, and you're seeing things where by simply popping a taillight out with a screwdriver, you have access to the car's electrical system called a CAN bus, and you simply plug in this thing, and the car's like, wacko, I'm at the dealer with a diagnostic computer plugged in. I'll do anything you want. So it'll reprogram keys, it'll start, it'll do anything. And it is the right to repair law has been the door opening here. And obviously, so many of these devices come out of China. You can go onto Alibaba and get one. They're not cheap, but if you're an organized crime syndicate, you go, cool, I'm going to invest $20,000, $30,000 in some of this equipment because the cars are worth more. So, and with those, you can't protect your car. So physical protection is your best thing. Club locks. I know it's dumb, but it slows people down. And a steering wheel lock. And these little Muppets stealing cars, they're little dirtbag kids, right? They're not seasoned professionals. They're little weedy, little cowardly idiots come up on your e-bike, with their hoodies on. They don't have the upper body strength to break a club lock. And I'm deliberately being harsh on these Muppets here because they really are just pathetic. What we've got to have is better physical security for our cars, which is really, really kind of disheartening. But yeah, if you can protect your keys and eat some nice biscuits at the same time, it's kind of a win-win. It's in, right? And you get those ones. There's even one, I've got one at work. You get them, you can get ones with an A9X Tirana, or you see them at the supermarket all the time. You've got ones that have got Tiranas and GT Falcons on it. I've got one with a Volvo on it, of all things. It's the world's hardest Volvo, but we can enjoy our biscuit tins, but something like that will stop your keys from sending a signal.
Look at this. See, folks?
Solving problems.
James Ward solving problems and
you're dunking me. I've got a coffee here.
Creating a market for shortbread biscuits at the same time.
That's it. So Nana has the safest house in the world because she's got those biscuit tins.
Biscuit tins, saving your cars. But it is a problem, car theft. Hey, listen, I saw an ad online, and I'm not picking on Hertz, but it happened to be an ad for Hertz rental car. And they said they had a fleet of X rental cars that they were selling at a decent price. And I'm sure all the rental companies do it, but it just happened to be a Hertz ad that came to my attention. James, would you buy an X rental car? Because there's an old joke, and the old joke is no such thing as a speed hump in a rental car. People tend to drive them pretty rough and hard. Would you buy an X rental?
Look, I would not. And I would discourage this. Now, you may be able to get a good deal on one of these things, but I'm telling you, and we'll talk about deals shortly.
Oh, yeah, because end of financial year, yep.
Would want to be an incredible deal on a car like this. So, look, let's be fair. The rental companies, irrespective of brand, they service these cars. They look after them in terms of service schedules. They make sure the tires are okay. So they do the maintenance on them and everything like that. They sell them with reasonable Ks on them. So you can sort of get yourself a modern car that has had, a bit of life for what I would hope to be a significant discount. But as someone who has rented cars, no one treats these things with kindness. No one, you do not know what has happened to that car. You don't know if someone's got into it. If it's a petrol car, if someone's just got in it and limiter banged it in the morning, like you have no idea the history and health of that car. We always say the miles, the odometer reading is not the important thing. It's the service history. How has that car been treated over its life? It's like anything, right? Like it doesn't matter what you're buying. You're buying a puppy. You want to know that's been treated well. You're meeting a new partner. You want to know that, they've looked after themselves. It doesn't matter where you are in life and what kind of relationship you're trying to forge, whether it's organic or it's a piece of machinery. You want to know that that has had care in its life. And yes, the rental car companies do the right thing, but between those services, many of these things, the other one I'm not a massive fan of buying cars at auction. Classic cars, absolutely. But where you've got some of the big auction houses and obviously they do a good job. They're the wholesalers that come out of fleets and things like that. They are an opportunity to buy a car at a reduced price. What you see is a lot of vehicle wholesalers. So if you're a car dealer, you'll go to an auction, you'll pick up stock at auction because it's significantly cheaper. You'll then go over it with your workshop. You've got the skill and the tools to check that car, to get it ready for sale, and then someone can come and buy it and it's a good product. But for private buyers at the auctions, there's no warranty there, right? And so you don't know. You can read the things, you can go and inspect. I think for the most part, you can turn them on, but you don't know the history. And buying that rental car, you might see the mileage, it might be a nice-ish car, it might look okay, but you don't know how that's been driven. And what you'll see in the fine print of warranty, and this is a call out to anyone who's buying a car to use for rideshare, many car warranties don't have, or they have differing limits for commercial operations. A rental car is a commercial operation. A rideshare is a commercial operation. You just don't know. You don't know. You don't know if that warranty is going to be honoured because that car is being used for commercial purposes, and that is something to be mindful of. You'd know in car advertising, they will say for ABN holders or for private buyers, rental, government and fleet are excluded because those cars are treated differently by the warranty programs. So buying an ex-rental car, you got a couple of red flags here. You do not know how that car has been treated by its customers. So you don't know mechanically how emotionally damaged that car is. You do not potentially have the same warranty support that someone buying a private car would have. So do check the fine print. And you've got the stigma of buying an ex-rental.
Would you buy an ex-police car?
Oh, now that's an interesting one. So,
because the police auctions come up all the time.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing. So in Victoria, the police run the BMW 5 Series for the most part. You see them in X5s and BMW 5 Series.
Yeah.
And for everybody going, oh, that's a bit flash for the police. BMW actually create these worldwide as a police vehicle. So it's not like they're buying a new 5 Series with, Napa leather and surround sound and sticking lights and things on it. There is a police pack car that comes from BMW that they do for global police forces. But that's the key here. You see these cars, and it's always easy to spot. You'll see all the current shape 5 Series, and one's got 5,000 Ks, one's got 10,000 Ks, one's got 120,000 Ks, but there is no disclosure as which one is the ex-police car. But I can tell you which one of those is going to be the one. And you do see these things at the price that puts them relatively comparable to a privately owned car. So it's kind of bonkers here that people are paying over the odds for a high mileage ex-police car. And for the most part, the specification is the same. Mercedes-Benz had some where they had a 6-cylinder turbo diesel 3-litre in an E-Class that you couldn't get privately. So they had specific versions that were there. But look, I think the romance of the ex-police car that we used to have, where you had the police pack option codes, where they were a little bit spicier. They had extra bits and pieces on them. You had LSDs, you had different suspension, you had all sorts of things that made the Australian ex-police cars a little bit tasty when they came up for auctions. The modern cars are not. You don't want to go and buy an ex-police Volkswagen Tiguan when you can go buy one from, Doris down the road who's done 1/10 of the kilometres on it. So, look, I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just simply saying it needs to be significantly cheaper than the current market rate for that to be a good deal for you.
Now, anyone in Sydney or WA that's rented a car or been on the road and they've seen a rental car, there is a car rental service that has a unique slogan and an emblem: no birds. It's been around for a long, long time. Started in Perth, but the famous car rental company is in Bayswater. It's Bayswater Car Rental up near the Cross. Do you know what that slogan means?
You know what? I have always wondered. Tell me, let me know, because it's nice for me to learn something.
Well, my dad was in the advertising business, and I asked him when I was on my L's and P's, because we used to drive around the city, and you'd see the no birds rental cars everywhere. Well, it started in Perth in 1958, and it was a high end. There were high end car rental companies that would get attractive women to drive the car to your door for you to take delivery, and in order to emphasize the fact that they did away with those top-end expensive fringe things like attractive girls delivering cars, the slogan was no birds.
Right.
It was to advertise a point of difference, that we're not the expensive rental car company that charges you a fortune. It's saving money, no birds. You're going to come and get the car.
It was probably very apt for the time, but I can see how that may not carry the same kind of...
You still see them everywhere.
I did see while you were talking, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll look it up. And there's a story about someone who found that terribly, terribly offensive, and they were, in all sorts of trouble.
Oh no! If there are people who cannot wait to complain about something even before they put their feet on the floor in the morning, they wake up and they go, "How can I be offended today?" I'm going to get.
Who can I be upset with?
Who can I be upset with? Listen, James. End of financial year, often advertised as a very good time to buy a car. What are the tricks? Take us through your tips on getting the best end of financial year deal. And why are there deals? Is it because the dealerships are just trying to get rid of their stock?
Yeah, so there's two reasons here, right? So as you've got business owners, so who are the car buyers here, who are saying, okay, in order for me to minimize my business profits where I'm taxed on them heavily, if I can have more investment into my business in terms of capital assets, the gap between earnings and spendings comes down, my taxes minimized a bit more. So what you see is the encouragement for businesses to spend money before end of financial year, because you can then claim elements of that. So there is that side of thing. But for car dealers and car brands, they want to move the most amount of sales before end of financial year, because that's beneficial for them. And so this time of the year, you've got a hungry buyer and you've got a hungry seller, and that basically puts a perfect storm of good deals together. And look, it's one of those things that as a regular consumer, you can benefit here. But my tips are, it needs to be at least 10% off what it would cost you retail. But some of these get up to about 20%. And there's some pretty hefty savings here. But the thing is, and you can get a very good deal. So be very clear. This is not just smoke and, you see the supermarket ones, they put the prices up to only pull the prices down. We've got retail pricing history. You can see what that car was going to cost. So you've got a lot more research capability here as a car buyer. You can save tens of thousands of dollars on cars. But the thing is, when it goes to July 1, if you're a private buyer and you don't need to have that incentivization of buying and utilizing an asset before June 30, some of these deals do persist. And in fact, the way you can almost get a better deal a little bit afterwards, but your choice may not be there. So the things I would always say to look for is, and basically the lesson here is, if you miss out by June 30, it's not like you'll never get a good deal again. There's some of these things do persist. But if you look at the main things that are advertised, this is where you can do your sums. So on-road, drive-away deals. And so normally you have cars that are advertised, and because on-road costs vary from state to state around Australia, the rough estimate, and this is rough because you've got stamp duty, you've got registration, you've got third-party insurance, all those kind of things. It is different in each state. Look for 10% off what that car would normally be. So you can find what its retail price is. You can estimate if it's a $40,000 car, it's going to cost between $4,000 and $5,000 to get that car on the road. So that means drive away, normally it'd be about 45 grand. If that same car has a drive away deal that is less than $40,000, so you've got a 10% saving, that makes it a good deal. That's where you do your rough sums with the driveaways. It has to be out the door and in your hand for about a 10% variance for that to feel like a good deal. You then have cashback bonuses, which are not them giving you a big bag of cash. What you get is they take, so you've got brands that have got a $2,000 cashback or whatever it is. What they do is they take that $2,000 off the transaction price. So you can look at what it's going to be. They'll probably say this car is $38,000 on road plus $2,000 cashback. That means it's $36,000 to you. So you've got it. Relatively easy to calculate. You've got things like bonuses that come in. So Ford at the moment have a $5,000 fuel card on top of some Ranger deals. So you go and negotiate the best deal on a Ranger. They give you a $5,000 fuel card, which is 2 years worth of fuel. That's not a bad thing. You see some brands giving you an accessories voucher. So if you were going to go and get roof racks on the car or you wanted a few things or your tow bar, they give you some incentive towards that. So that's another one to look for. The finance deals, and again, I'll always preface finance with, I'm not a financial advisor, so always check with an accountant or someone or a financial advisor before you do any finance deal, because everybody's situation is different. But you have low rate finance. So current comparison rate's about 6%. I know BYD have got it at 1.88. So that can save you thousands over a loan if you were considering to do a loan that way. You've got deposit contribution. So I know I saw it yesterday. Mini have got a deposit contribution on the Countryman. Countryman's a good little car. Let's say it's the one you like is 50 grand and you're going to finance that. You negotiate the best deal you can. They then tip in $5,000 initially. So you're only financing $45,000. And so that has run-on effect to save you money over that loan. And there are different things there. But the one that you can save the most on are run-out deals. And so this is where, so for example, Mazda have this at the moment on BT50 and Mitsubishi have a crazy one on Outlander plug-in hybrid. So they have stock of cars. We're in 2026 now. If a car was built this year to this year's specification, they call it a model year MY26. Both of those brands, so Mazda, for example, has plenty of MY25. So they were built in 2025 to the 2025 spec. BT50 Utes available. They are doing, I think it's like a $12,000 or $13,000 on-road discount for those cars. That's a significant saving you can have. It's about 20% because it is essentially last year's model. Now, they're not registered cars, so you don't lose out on warranty. You don't have a year of warranty cut off. It's just not the 2026 car. And if you're looking to have your car for 5-10 years, that makes no difference whatsoever. So save the money. If you're a person who flips their car every 3 years and wants to sort of have the newest to make that resale value the best, then maybe a run-out deal's not for you. But for family buyers, right, Mitsubishi have this thing on the Outlander plug-in hybrid. For a start, it's a plug-in hybrid. You can drive this thing on full electric, so spending no money on fuel for about 80 kilometers. So it's not the best of the best, but it does work. It's pretty good. They're a 7-seat family SUV. They look nice. They're practical. They're comfortable. There's a 10-year warranty on Mitsubishi, but they still have MY24 cars in stock that they are doing anything to get rid of at the moment. And so they have an immediate $10,000 cashback on these. But I've spoken to dealers, if you're not getting 15 grand off these things, you got to try a little bit harder. And that's a crazy deal because it's a good car. And if you're looking to own it for a couple of years and sell it, maybe not. But if this is your family car for you want to take advantage of that Mitsubishi 10-year warranty, right? You want to own that car for 7 to 10 years, because I'll also say if you're selling a car, selling it with warranty on it is much better than selling it without warranty, just to be clear. So let's say you want to buy an Outlander, you want to run it for 7 years. Who cares if it was the 2024 or 2025 one that was built and we're in 26? It's still a terrific car, and that's a massive saving.
Really good advice. Thank you so much. We were going to take a little trip down memory road. We'll do that next chat because it can keep. But what's your educated guess on all of this? What's your information? If the US and Iran come to some sort of a deal, and it's on again, off again, on again, off again, like you never know. But if it is sorted and the Strait of Hormuz is then open for traffic, how soon until the world's oil and petrol supplies come back to normal? And will Australia stockpile 90 days instead of 30?
Yeah, look, I think the red flags that came up with this to show that the government's preparation for, the rainy day, well, it rained, was not in a space that certainly passed the pub tests for regular Australians. That was pretty disappointing from us to see the government had not thought ahead that way. So yes, I dare say that fuel security will become a key thing, and they will look at having storage and making sure that's the case. In terms of fuel supply, yes, we will see that happening, and that was the initial issue. That
would it be immediately, or would it be 2 weeks' time? Would it be a month?
No, and again, we've sort of solved a lot of that. Fuel's coming from different places now, so the fuel supply issue has been done, and the world kind of went, oh my God, and then figured it out, and so we're okay. The fuel prices, though, is where everybody's worried, because let's remember, 1st of July, the excise cut comes off. Now, the government was saying this week, oh, maybe we will, maybe we won't, which is government speak for it's coming back, right? If they were committed to helping Australians, they go, you know what? We read the room. We're going to make sure we're going to extend that another month and then we'll revisit, or we're going to extend another 3 months and we'll revisit. The fact that here we are mid-June and they're going, oh, I don't know, because in the federal budget that I went to Canberra for, they actually have it on the ledger saying it's back on. So we immediately get a 26 cent per litre fuel increase come July 1. Now, they may change their mind. They may use it as let's see how, and again, let's
see how Pauline Hanson.
I was about to say, let's see what Pauline Hanson says. And so then the government may feel that they need to combat that. So,
they've got to do something. They've got to do something.
The Red Rocket is basically, getting them to work on their toes a fair bit at the moment. But fuel prices are never going to come down significantly again. And I think at the moment, everybody's sort of got used to it. It hurts. It's not good. People are driving a little bit more sensibly. There is still taste for electrification. And in fact, I've actually been filming a 2-part series that we're going to run on 9, not this weekend, but next weekend and the one after, about discussing, is it time to switch? And we look at hybrids, plug-in hybrids, full electrics for work and family. But we also call out that for a lot of people, a diesel is still the best option, right? So this is not everybody must buy an electric car. We look at them, we run the numbers, and it's quite surprising unless you're getting a very, very good rate on your electricity, fuel prices are going up, but energy prices are going up as well. So if you're using public charging, for example, so you're using the one at the shopping center or the one in the regional, middle of town to charge your electric car, I'm going to say this now, you are better off buying a hybrid, right? Like a hybrid, like a Toyota RAV4, like a Hyundai Tucson, like a Hyundai Santa Fe, right?
Nikki's Lexus.
Like the Lexus. You don't need a plug. You don't need to think. It does everything for itself. It basically reduces the amount of fuel you buy. You still have to fill up its tank, but instead of going to the petrol station once a week, you go there once a fortnight. It's that kind of sort of basic change. But if you're paying the public charging rates to fill up an EV, it can be more expensive than you think. And we always get this, people say, oh, but it's free because I've got solar at home. If you can charge at home and you've got solar and you've got a battery and you've invested into that, yes, it is unequivocally cheaper. If you're at home and you're you're charging it at night and you can use off-peak electricity, it is unequivocally cheaper. But if you're charging at peak electricity rates or you're using a public charging network, I'm not saying it is, but it can be not that cheap compared to a hybrid. It's going to be cheaper than a petrol, very clear. But it's not going to be much cheaper than a hybrid, and you still have to screw around with plugs and charging and finding a charger and all that kind of crap. And I've been in the rain at a charger so many times, you just think, I really could have used a hybrid today. That would have been a bit nicer. Yeah. So, yeah, that's on Channel 9 in a couple of weeks' time. You got me and Emma sort of running through the numbers and looking at various kind of cars to sort of call it out. So if you are wondering, is it time to switch over? We do look at it. And, of course, you can always ask us questions. You send me an email to askdrive@drive.com.au. We're here to help. But, yeah, mate, as you see, with the Lexus, you're saving money. It's a really nice car. You don't have to think about it. And, yeah, we're seeing more and more hybrids come into market. And I think for many people, that makes a lot of sense.
James Ward, drive.com. He's the content director. You'll see him on Channel 9. You'll hear him everywhere. And we're very, very lucky to have him as a regular contributor here on the Bonafide podcast. You have yourself a wonderful day.
Thanks, mate. In my hoodie, I'll go steal some cars.
Go steal some
because I'm in
cars.
Victoria. That's it.
Put your hoodie on.
Put my hoodie up. Go pinch
And
some
you'll feel
cars.
right at home.
That's it. It's the Victorian way at the moment. I might firebomb a restaurant and maybe start an illicit tobacco ring as well, because the government endorses that and encourages. Or maybe I'll just get on the take. I think that's the other thing that happens here. Everything's corrupt in Victoria, but that's okay because people keep voting these morons in. And
He's on a rant today, folks. He's on a rant. You don't want to be
I'm
on
not
the
a political commentator. I'm not Charles Croucher. I can't come in here with an informed. These are my opinions and not backed by any commercial entity whatsoever.
And don't you stop giving those opinions.